Part 9. Nevertheless, they persisted. Something happened in 1177 BCE. I mean, duh, something happened. Lots of things happen every year. Except 2016, nothing happened in 2016. But something catastrophic happened. An entire era in human history came to a sudden, violent end. The Bronze Age collapse destroyed civilization in the Mediterranean. The Mycenaean, Minoan, Trojan, Hittite, and Babylonian cultures all vanished from the map. There are competing claims as to how this could have happened. The most likely answer is that it was a perfect storm of a bunch of different problems which, individually, would probably not have been such an existential threat, but together upended civilization after civilization. The most enduring theory concerning the societal collapse is that of the Sea People. Stone tablets dating from the era contain hieroglyphs which talk of Egyptian pharaohs leading armies against foreign peoples of the sea. Stories of these mysterious invaders persist for about a century before vanishing just as suddenly as the Bronze Age civilizations did. Historians endlessly debate these texts. Some are skeptical of their stories entirely. Most accept them as at least partially true, but there is no consensus over who these people could be. Greeks, Minoans, Philistines, Hittites, or perhaps even a completely unknown people. While I believe that the failed nuclear test creates much of the backdrop for SpongeBob SquarePants, I, like most historians who study the Bronze Age collapse, believe it to be only one moment in a perfect storm of disasters which destroyed a kingdom which had once been ruled over by Neptune. I think that invaders, either anchovies or nematodes or both, played a role in a societal collapse. We can see evidence of aftershocks of this kind of invasion in the very first episode, where a horde of anchovies come to the Krusty Krab. Their very presence was a sheer terror to Mr. Krabs, a grizzled Navy veteran. Of course nematodes also roam these parts of the sea, as we see in Home Sweet Pineapple. Undersea societies survived these invasions, but now the descendants of these invading hordes are seen as low members of society, therefore creating the anchovy proletariat. The barbarians of SpongeBob SquarePants Geopolitics. Yet I do not wish to linger on this darkness. This is the backstory to my interpretation of Bikini Bottom, yes, but not the centerpiece. Mycenaean Greece collapsed around 1177 BCE. A centuries-long dark age ensued. Very little is known about this era of Greece because it seems that the writing itself may have disappeared in the corner of the world for a while as these people worked to pick up the pieces of what had been. Slowly, Greece pulled itself into the light, and while we cannot see this through written works, the story is etched in their pottery, their buildings, their cities. What emerged from the destruction of the Mycenaean age was something far greater and grander in power. Athens and Sparta became the most powerful cities of classical antiquity. Not long after, Alexander would ride forth from the north and conquer the world. Yet, yes, disasters befell Bikini Bottom. But that's not the point of the show. The point is that they survived. Try as I might, I cannot see a post-apocalyptic society in Bikini Bottom. It has a flourishing business center, casinos, and restaurants. It has a strong education system and a dedicated police force. It holds Olympic Games and maintains pristine fields of natural beauty. Its citizens are lovers of art, music, and cuisine. The world threw everything it had at Bikini Bottom. Nevertheless, it persisted. Its people are resourceful. They turned scraps of metal into skyscrapers. They found a sunken treasure chest and turned it into a supermarket. SpongeBob as a character is the encapsulation of everything I see in the show. He always keeps going, even if a bit naively. He never stops trying, no matter what. If he sees a problem, he launches himself at it, and he keeps trying until he solves it, no matter how many tries it may take. Bikini Bottom is a place where anyone can pursue their dreams. Mr. Krabs achieved this by creating the Krusty Krab. SpongeBob never stops chasing his passions. Even the series' more antagonistic characters, Squidward and Plankton, never give up on their dreams. Sandy Cheeks is the embodiment of the human spirit and drive to explore and innovate. How one can look at all this and call it a wasteland is beyond me. To be clear, I am not asserting that SpongeBob SquarePants is actually some ultra-clever history joke. I cannot claim to know what the Bikini Bottom and Stephen Hillenburg's mind looked like. I mention the Sea People only as an analogy to explain how my own interpretation of the show. Just as Bronze Age society collapsed and rose again, so did Bikini Bottom. It seems antithetical to the show's spirit to claim otherwise. I think that one of the biggest pieces of symbolism has lain right under our noses the entire time. Squidward's house. An Easter Island tiki head, Squidward chooses to make his home in a place that is a daily reminder of collapsed civilizations. Whatever befell the inhabitants of Easter Island, it wiped them out entirely. They left behind only giant heads of stone who have watched over the island ever since. But Bikini Bottom persisted. Squidward took what for most is a symbol of extinction and turned it into his own palace. He adorned it with art. He took up the clarinet, painting, dance, a violent passion for all things cultural. And although he is a cynic, and though he is a grouch, he never gives up his pursuits. Consider Patrick Star. Starfish are resilient creatures, able to regrow limbs if they are lost. They are prehistoric things, older than the dinosaurs. They have lived through extinction events which have claimed more species than is comprehensible, and thrive to this day, abundant in all the world's oceans. Patrick is the butt of many jokes, depicted as stupid but kind. Yet he, just as everyone else in Bikini Bottom, is a fighter. Give him so much as a rock and some sand, and he'll make it into a damn house. Consider Plankton, the one-eyed merchant who serves as the series' main villain. He is the most simple life form in the world, consisting of a single cell, yet he aspires to be so much more. You can see this in the computer wife he built for himself. He built Karen what he aspires to be, the exact opposite in terms of advancedness as he. She puts him down and discourages his pursuits, yet he perseveres. He will never stop fighting to be more than a single cell crying out in the dark. And you know what? I'm rooting for him. Consider Bikini Atoll. It was not a desolate island when the U.S. government chose it to be the site of a new round of nuclear tests. 167 natives had to be evicted to the nearby Ragnarok Atoll. Ben Wyatt, the U.S. military governor of the Marshall Islands, likened himself to God leading the people of Israel to the chosen land. The chieftain supposedly gave his blessing for the tests to begin, but the people of Bikini Atoll have never been satisfied with their exile. Ragnarok Atoll did not have the abundance of natural resources that Bikini Atoll did, and within a few years the exilees were malnourished to the point of starvation. They moved again to the island of Kili, which was not much better. Their culture of lagoon fishing slowly died out as Kili did not have good fishing waters, and they became dependent on the U.S. government sending supplies. Not content to endure this way of life, the surviving residents of Bikini Atoll returned to their homeland in 1974. 4 years later, it was clear that their home was not ready for them. Suffering from the effects of radiation, the effort to resettle their homeland was abandoned. Bikini Atoll remains uninhabited to this day, but that does not mean its people have given up hope of coming home. 600 of Bikini Atoll's children still live on Kili Island. They sleep in cinder block homes. They use generators to create electricity. The children go to school. Their parents sell what little wares they have. The U.S. government continues to provide these people with a meager ration of food. They've lost their home and their culture, but not their spirit. One day, one glorious day, they will come home. They too will persist.